Welcome to the Arsenal show. We are live, and it's the match reaction of the Arsenal game up against Burnley, and it finished 0-0, goalless at the Emirates Stadium. Not enough up front, not enough throughout the game. The first half was poor. The second half, after about an hour in, Arsenal started to stretch it a lot more, but they couldn't unlock Burnley at home. I'm joined by my co-host today, Jerome Marks. How you doing, Jerome?
Yeah, fine, thanks.
And what was your thoughts on that game, man?
Oh, so frustrating. Didn't create too many chances. Had lots of the ball, but you've got to be beating teams like that at home. If you've got any hope or any aspiration to get in the top four, you can't drop points to these teams. And I know we're tired, and we've had a few games in couple of games in a few days, and all the other problems that we've had, but that's a stinker of a result. And long term, I think that's going to affect our chances of any type of European football, let alone top four.
All right. So what you say that we had games. We played Liverpool only the other day. A game that's, mentally draining, probably more than anything as well, because of the loss in the semi-final. But
yeah,
should this team had enough to have got the win today?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean you've got most of your starters there. Okay, you get the two boys in centre midfield, but apart from that, you've got what is your first choice striker at the moment. You got Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, and Saka behind. Like they start, they're in the first team. Two centre backs, the left back, the goalie. Like there's no excuse to drop points at home to Burnley.
Mm-hmm.
These you can't. It's impossible to justify unless you play your whole youth team. You can't justify a 0-0 at home to Burnley.
Mm-hmm. What was missing today then? What do you think?
Maybe a bit of creativity, something a bit different. We're keeping the ball along the back for so long. I know it's obviously part of the game, but you're wasting a lot of time just passing it between the centre backs. Like I don't think either. I think I know it might sound strange, but having Ben White more central with holding there. Normally Ben White is the one that might pick a pass, and Holding doesn't really do it. Gabriel doesn't really do it, and so you miss that. What else was lacking? We haven't got a centre forward. That doesn't help. You're basically relying on Martinelli or Saka to produce a bit of magic to win you the game, and or maybe Odegaard as well.
Yeah,
but we're heavily reliant on individuals to produce produce a bit of magic, and if it doesn't come, then we struggle, and that was the case today.
You think this will potentially make Arsenal push more in the transfer window? Probably most importantly with a central midfielder to be great more, and definitely a striker as well.
Yeah, you'd like to think so, but you'd like to think so. Will it? We're running out of days, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
We're running out of time, and look, obviously the hope is there. You got a bit of hope still, but it's just about. I don't want them to panic. This type of result can cause them to maybe panic in the transfer window and maybe get someone that maybe they don't really want. And I don't think we're in the position to get someone that we're not sort of sure about. So that's my only thing that I'm thinking about in terms of the transfer window is they'll sign someone that they don't really want, and that's no good.
Yeah, that's no good, not for anyone. Let's get on to the player ratings. Before we get in anywhere, hit that like, hit that subscribe if you are new to the channel. If you're watching on Twitter, come over from the Twitter and join us in the live chat. Calesto's in there. I want plenty of chatting from you today, Calesto. We're definitely going to try and get you on the show. Come over to the Arsenal show and hit us up on the in the inbox with your details so we can get you on the show. Nathan wants you on the show as well, so it seems you're a bit of a people's champion. What's he saying here? He's saying if Lacazette was the shooter, my brother Tupac would still be alive. We need a new centre forward. Look, I like what Lacazette's doing, but as I said earlier, we're getting to that point where we really do need goals that's not coming just from our two live wires on the wing. And to be fair to Smith Rowe as well. We need a striker who's going to take that responsibility and bag 20 goals a season. Like each year, we seem to be dropping down our bar of how many goals our main striker should be getting. It used to be 30 goals a season every season. We can get a 30 goal a season, we'll be challenging for the league. Then it was like 20, 25. Oh, we can get 25, 20 goals, we'll still be up there. We can get top 4. Now we're talking about if we can get a striker that can score 15 goals in the Premier League, we're going to be doing something. Like it's poor. Yeah. It's really not good enough. It's really not good.
You know what it is? Normally you're sort of scared of the other team's striker. They're normally the sort of threat, but no one's scared of our striker or strikers. Mm-hmm. Like they don't go into games worrying about what Lacazette or recently like Aubameyang's going to do. They're worried about the wingers, and you want to be a top club. You got to have a top striker that the opposition are scared of, and they're just not scared of our strikers.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree on that. Let's get to the player ratings then. Aaron Ramsdale today.
It's hard, isn't it? Because it's not the sort of game where he has much to do. He maybe flat once or twice, perhaps, but he tried to sort of get things going, didn't he? You could see he was trying to maybe increase the tempo from the back. It's hard to really score Ramsdale. Perhaps maybe a 6. I don't think he was terrible. Like he didn't have a lot to do. Maybe a 6.
All right, Aaron Ramsdale gets a 6. Yeah. There's the Twitter handle, so come and hit us up there, man. All right, Aaron Ramsdale with a 6. Kieran Tierney's day. He was trying his hardest to get something, but like I know it was it wasn't good enough for Arsenal. We weren't creating enough. Especially what annoys me is it took us to the 60th minutes to really start pressing on Burnley and putting the pressure on. And I just think if we'd have done that from the start, which is what we've been doing when we've like. For most of the season, we've been doing that. We've been coming out from the start, all guns blazing, which is sort of getting people on the back foot, and then we're getting that goal. And then more recently, in the second part of the first half of the season, we started to carry on and started to continue to press in and put pressure on teams, and then we were scoring goals. We didn't start like we have been recently, and that's always frustrating because I think that's one of our main strengths is the start that we have. Kieran Tierney, what do you think of
Tierney? I'd have liked him to be a bit more forward thinking, perhaps. Maybe a 6, perhaps. I just want him to like attack more. I think for him to attack, he normally needs like a bit more space. It's a lot of balls back to the centre back a lot of the time. But I know it's hard when you've got like a couple of players in front of you.
Do you potentially think this could have been a game where Arteta could have made a sub and brought on Tavares?
You know what? Even maybe from the start, perhaps. Yeah, perhaps because he wasn't going to be doing a lot of defending Tierney today, and obviously he didn't. And not that Tavares is a bad defender because he's not, but yeah, possibly someone a bit more attacking, especially if you've got a centre back playing at right back.
Yeah, I agree. Gabriel.
It's hard, isn't it, to give any of these players like high scores, to be honest. Gabriel, he was okay. I think he was trying to. Normally it's Ben White, like I said. Normally it's Ben White maybe that tries to instigate things from the back, and I think Gabriel was trying to take a bit of responsibility and try to see if there's a gap for a pass, try and move forward a bit with the ball. But I'd give him a 6 as well. Right. 6/7.
6/7. Yeah, I can't really say too much was. Oh, sorry, I can't really say too much was wrong with Gabriel. Again, they dealt with the challenges that Burnley always bring. They always like to loft that ball in, even though they haven't got a Chris Woods today. They got Jay Rodriguez, Vidra, who are dangerous if you're sleeping on them. And they dealt with it well enough today. But yeah, no real danger. Rob Holding.
It's weird because these defenders, you're not really rating them on how they defended. You're sort of because they didn't have a lot of defending to do, really, did they? Like, it was more about, can these guys in defence help move Burnley players around and maybe fashion an opening for someone or get the ball forward quickly? And he's just a little bit slower in his decision making and his passing holding. But I don't think he had a terrible game.
No, he didn't.
Did he
one
really?
thing I would say with Holding, he always has one chance a game to score a goal, and he always gets his head in it, but it's never on target. It's criminal, like the amount of times I've seen Holding do this. Because he like I said, he attacks the ball well. He's got good height, good leap, gets onto the ball, and it's never challenges the goalkeeper. It's always over the bar.
My dad says it.
Sort it out. He
My
needs to sort it out.
My dad says it. He says he can't head a ball.
He can't.
He said he's no good. He just can't head it.
He can defensively head a ball, which is heading it away, getting your head under it, bang, getting something on it. He can do that easy, but he cannot head that ball down, and he needs to start that because, it's such a waste. Gabriel can do it. Ben White can do it, although Ben White doesn't really get many goals. But Gabriel is definitely one who can get his head on it and get a goal. But Rob Holding, it's frustrating. What are you giving him today?
6.
6. 6 for Rob Holding. Ben White played it right back today.
Yeah. I feel a bit sorry for him because obviously he's playing out of position and he's not really the sort of player that's going to really support the attack he didn't really get into a lot of forward positions. So I felt a bit sorry for him, to be honest.
But is there any other option? Do you go for someone who's a bit more forward thinking again and bring in a Cedric, or do you stick with a defensively solid player in Ben White?
I think the alternatives are so bad. You've got to play White there.
Is there a shout for Chambers? Is White going to give you that much more of a range in that centre back pairing?
Yeah, maybe I'd have played White centre back and Chambers right back rather than holding in a. But it's like picking you're not looking at great options. It's like you go into the supermarket and you've got an apple that's a week out of date and one that's 6.5 days out of date. Like there's not much between them. He was okay. Like he was fine. Maybe a 7 because he was playing out of position.
You don't have to give a score because you feel sorry for him, Jerome.
Otherwise they're all getting 6s, I think. So I'll give them a 7 to change it up a bit.
6 ain't a bad one. Sambi Lokonga.
I feel again another one that I feel sorry for. He's come into this team and he's been asked to play with either someone from the youth team, someone that's not really a centre midfielder. Had a massive gap in his since like the last period of games when he was playing.
Mm-hmm. I think he looked better in this game than he did against Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely, because he had a lot more of the ball. Like against Liverpool, he might have touched the ball 5 or 6 times, but I think he needs to find his I don't really know what his role in the team is, to be honest. He's like a 7 at most things, if you know what I mean. There's not like one thing for me that stands out in his game. Maybe that will come. Like, he was never going to really open them up. He's not really a defensive midfielder.
No.
He keeps it ticking over quite well. He's not he's not super athletic, super strong.
I think
he was okay.
I think he's what kind of a midfielder he is. He is. I think he's in between a Partey and an Odegaard. He's got that range of passing where he can nip the ball over the top and he can drop a through ball. Yeah. I just think he's early in his development. Like the leap from the Jupiler League in Belgium to the Premier League and trying to play for a team that's coming into top 4 in his first season, that's a massive leap. Yeah. Even Vincent Kompany, when he first came into the Premier League, weren't anywhere near what he ended up being like in the end. And he's one of the greatest players to play in the Premier League of all time. So Sambi Lokonga, I think people are being a bit too harsh on him, judging him far. I don't even think he should be judged at all this season. He's got to settle in, but I think he's been thrown at the deep end. I feel sorry for him. He's been thrown at the deep end because he should be being nursed into these games. He should be playing cup games this season, and really he's been having to had more of a role than I think was anticipated, like massively. I think he was meant to have 10 to 15 games this season, off the bench majority of them. But no, he's having to play as a starter role because Thomas Partey's getting sent off, Granit Xhaka's getting sent off, and injuries early in the season.
I think for what the manager probably wanted him to do today, he probably done what the manager asked him to do. He wasn't giving like sloppy balls away, really losing possession. I bet his sort of passing stats in terms of percentages were pretty good. Maybe a 7. I'll give him a 7.
All right, I can't get a 7. On Odegaard.
He was playing in like fits and starts, Odegaard. There was times when he was like really trying to drive the team forward, and then like 5 or 10 minute spells when like he just wasn't there. Maybe a 7 perhaps for Odegaard. I thought he was all right. He threatened to sort of play that last ball, or he always threatened to sort of do something, but it never quite happened. But
yeah, I think he lacks options. He really does lack options. Yeah. Sometimes there's nothing on, and you can't. We exhausted the Martinelli and Saka option before it even started. Like as soon as the game started, they had doubled up on Martinelli and Saka, and it took about 25 minutes for them to really find a spot in the game where they could actually get through. Saka stretched Peters early doors. Westwood, I don't even know how he was on the pitch still. I don't want to hear any of this talk about you'd be ruining the game or it was too close together. It's absolute nonsense. I watched Xhaka get sent off a few weeks back. I watched Gabriel get sent off when he got 2 yellow cards within the space of 5 minutes. I watched Partey get sent off the other day because he had 2 yellow cards in the space of 5 minutes. And that first one that Partey did the other day was dubious to say
terrible.
the least.
Honestly, dubious. That first one.
It's
soft, wasn't it? It was so soft.
It wasn't a yellow. First and foremost, it wasn't a yellow. Yeah. No. And it just felt like the referee just wanted to give out a yellow there. It was silly. And the second one was a yellow.
Totally different subject, and it's going to be really, really hard to ever put it into action. But I think they need to look at how they dish out yellow and red cards because it just doesn't feel right, does it? But it's so hard because it's so objective, and there's so many different types of fouls. There's probably thousands of different types, and it's hard to really. Yeah, but yeah.
That second one today on Westwood, yes, admittedly, it was 2 minutes in between or something like that from his first one, but that's a yellow card. He was late on Gabriel, and then his arm, for some reason, is up here in Gabriel's face when he follows through with it. Like, how is that not a yellow card? How is that not a yellow card? It's absolute nonsense. We ask for consistency, and this is the problem. This is the problem here. And I felt that there was a couple of occasions, like how Lennon didn't get a yellow card. I'm not looking for yellow cards, but look, if that was Granit Xhaka, if that was Gabriel, There's certain players in the Arsenal team where if they do these fouls, because they are known as sort of wholehearted, full-blooded sort of tacklers, and referees will know that in their game they're gonna try and potentially do that to gain advantage or stop the game. So in the mind, the referee's already got that they're gonna give them a yellow card because they want them to not do that. They don't want them to break up the game because they're trying to be smart about it. Well, you can't have that preconception about these players if you're not going to do the same on everyone else. If you ain't going to do your homework on players like Westwood, on players like Brownhill that do those things, Wood Peters, they do all these things. A Burnley team's going to do that. So wise up to it. Otherwise, you've got to say it's got to be a clean slate on every single game against every single player, and it's not that at all. Emil Smith Rowe.
Really quiet today. Amazing burst to set up Lacazette for that chance. When he got Tarkovsky on the wing. That was the old Smith Rowe. You know what with Smith Rowe? I think he's better on the left. I think he gets lost when he's in the middle. I think he's not quite sure where to stand. I just think he doesn't get involved as much, which is weird for someone on the wing to get involved more than a player centrally. But I just think since he's moved, since he hasn't played on the wing, I think there's been a change, and I'm at the stage now where I don't know if he probably won't do it, but I would play Martinelli through the middle and put Smith Rowe back on the left with Odegaard and Saka, which that's how we sort of started the season.
I mean, it's an option.
He's two in and out. He's 2 in and out for me, Smith Rowe.
I think. Go on.
Yeah, that's it really. Yeah, 2 in and out.
No,
the game.
You make a good point. Is his form because he's 2 in and out, or is his form because he did have an injury, did have a little bit of a groin strain? He's been out for about 4 games. He needed to play that game against Liverpool the other day because I think if he was better, I think he was head and shoulders better today than he was against Liverpool. But I think he needed the minutes against Liverpool because he was so rusty. It felt like in the Liverpool game, he's almost chasing shadows. It was always a second behind everything. And when he got the ball, he weren't sharp enough in his mind to pick out them balls. Today, he had a little bit more of that. And he did in moments, he looked a bit lively. But I think he's probably about 2 games away from getting back to what Smith Rowe does. I personally think he can do it through the middle. He's young enough to adapt his game to play anywhere along that front line. Maybe not up front, but I think he can. And I think we can make it work. But I do think that Arsenal are better with Martin Odegaard, who's playing more forward, because he's got to get that ball. He's got to make that run, look for the 1-2, and then do his Martin Odegaard thing around the box where. Normally, he's a lot more forward, and it's like one player gone, and then he's looking for the gaps. It's frustrating. I think we need to make moves in the transfer window. If we're talking about an Arthur Melo, be a great signing for us. If we've got to take him on an 18-month loan, do it, and it shouldn't stop us from bringing in another midfielder. The one that was maybe we wanted to get in the summer. It shouldn't stop us because we know that in a year's time, Arthur Melo won't be here. As long as you put an option, they want an option or an obligation to buy. Put an option. Then don't take up the option. If he's that good, take up the option. What are you giving Smith Rowe?
I'm going to give him a lower score just because like the expectation is of what he can do, and just I'm going to give him a 5. I just think it's not. He just didn't look. Yeah, there was a couple of bursts, but I'll give him a 5.
All right, Gabriel Martinelli.
I'll give him a 6. I think verging on a 7. He sees a lot of the ball now, he saw a lot of the ball today, which is great. But I think it's asking a lot of him to produce something special. Sort of every time he picks up the ball, try and beat a man and put, and either put it in the box or create something. But he's so dangerous. Like you get excited when he picks up the ball. Like just because you think that there's a possibility that something can happen. Maybe a 6. What do you think?
I mean, he didn't score. He didn't get an assist. I mean, like, I'm not giving him a 7. It's nothing against his game. A 6 is an average score. He tried. There's still a lot to it. Still a lot more that he needs to bring out in his game. I think we've got a potential world-class player on our hands here. I see much more what he can do. I just don't think it was his day today. I think I can't get away from the fact that Burnley were excellent in defence today. Like, they gave everything. It was a true Burnley performance, and I can't even think where they even made a mistake for us to even get through. They doubled down on their defence. They doubled down on Saka and Martinelli because they knew what a danger he was. I think what we're missing is anyone that's going to get on beyond those defenders. We play too much in front of them, and that's easy for Burnley type defenders to play. They didn't really have to look behind their shoulder. Only later on in the game, when we started to get through a lot more, which was when Saka was getting through, when Martinelli was getting through, is because we was getting beyond the lines, and we weren't doing everything right in front. And I think that's what you get when you've got a Lacazette in there. If they don't buy into the fact that if they just let Lacazette drift into the middle and just leave him there, that there's that Lacazette style of play kind of comes a bit obsolete. It's a bit pointless at points. Sometimes you've got to change it up if it's not working, because Burnley just say, okay, you can have it there. What are you going to do when you come at us? And that's what he did today. That's why I don't think Lacazette was too effective. Alexandre Lacazette.
Well, had an amazing chance, didn't he? Amazing chance to score.
You've got to put that away.
Yeah, you've got to be scoring that, haven't you?
Good save. And that was the Smith Rowe one, wasn't it?
The Smith Rowe was from the corner. Yeah.
So we had chances.
Yeah, we did have that Lacazette one. That's the one where you got to put that away. You've got all you got to do is hit the target, and it's a goal, really, because the goalie's well out of position. Just hit the target. Maybe there was a defender sort of approaching him that might have put him off, but you still got to stick it away. Apart from that, like you said, like we said before with Odegaard, like, he hasn't got much to play with, and these centre backs aren't scared of Lacazette because they know he can't run in behind. He's not gonna, like, he might link play, he might play the ball wide 2 or 3 times a game, but you need more than that. If you're going to be the main centre forward, you got to have a bit more to your game. He's no threat, especially against Burnley. No threat in the box in terms of crosses coming in when you got Tarkowski and me centre backs. So he's not going to threaten that. He's not going to threaten in behind. Not offering enough. So I'll go a 5.
All right, a 5 for Lacazette. Quickly go to the comment section. If you are watching on Twitter, come and join us on KS1 TV. If you're watching on any of the other channels, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on, if you're new to the channel, come and join us live in the chat. Let's go to the comments quickly. Is Cedric really that bad? Surely he's a better option than Ben White. What's your thoughts on that, Jerome?
I think he's injured, Cedric. I think he's coming back from injury. But yeah, he's shocking. Garth, he's terrible, Cedric.
I mean, that says it all. I don't think Cedric's that bad.
He's terrible.
I don't think he's that bad. He's a bit stiff. But
he's a bit stiff. Yeah.
A bit wooden, but I don't think he's that bad. I don't mind Cedric. He does a job for 1 or 2 games. That's it, though. He's not your. If he gets any more, and he's got to look for consistency in there. He's not your man. He's not your man. A bit wooden, but yeah, I don't mind Cedric. Coletto said, "I feel sorry for Sambi. Pablo says 150 million. Say no more. Emma Smith Rowe is a winger. He looks more dynamic from that left wing. VAR, FYI. VAR was missing today. It's on a milk carton.
It ran out of batteries, the VAR today. There's no battery.
Exactly. More like VHS. It was shocking. Have a laugh. Sort it out. Is Arthur really that good? He is good. You don't get bought by Barcelona and then Juventus if you're not good. He's good. He's good. Lacazette should have scored. Sometimes he's like a CDM playing as a centre forward. Yeah, I know how you feel, mate. I know how you feel. Cedric is a Norwich type of player. VYN, FYI. It might as well have been VYN. I don't know what VYN is, but smash that subscribe button. All right. Bukayo Saka.
Oh, you know what? They should have made better use of Saka today because their left back.
He had Peters on toast, didn't he?
Yeah, they should have really. Maybe they did. Maybe they tried to use it more. But I'm sure they could have made a lot of. There could have been a lot of occasions, and there were when he's just 1-on-1. Just go at him because if you do it 10 times, he'll foul you a few times. You'll get past him a few times, and he'll tackle you a few times. But the chances are, the percentages are in your favour. You up him against him. He should have just gone at him every time to go down the wing, but it's that same thing. Like he can do that, go down the wing, and then like who's he gonna pass to in the middle? Like
there's no one, and there's no one, and Lacazette isn't. That's been my criticism of Lacazette previously. Again, I'm not going to be peppering Lacazette with his lack of ability in some areas, but I've noticed over the last season or two, he prefers to get in the box late now, whereas we need a striker that's in the box, especially if we're going to be doing as many crosses as we are on a regular basis as we do. Sometimes it's frustrating that no one's making that forward run to the front post or is on that penalty spot, and our wingers don't do that. So, and that's where we're lacking, and that's really frustrating.
Yeah. So Saka, how did he play Saka? Maybe a 6. I'd have liked him to have been a little bit more direct, but he's it's like I said, him or Martinelli. You're relying on them to do something to open up a defence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is relying on them. They are getting to that age where they're first team players now. But yeah, I think it is frustrating because he had the better of him today. He had the opportunity on goal. He was always trying to make space. He was always trying to make space, and it just wasn't happening. Frustrating day. But yeah, we do have to be a bit more wiser. If we see one side we aren't getting too much luck, and we see the other side we are, keep smashing it down there. And previously we have been doing that, like against Norwich and against Leeds. They kept on doing the same thing against us. They kept on moving in positions that suited us. And what did we do? We kept on exploiting it. Today we just didn't seem to do that. We could have had Peters all game going down that right, going down that left. Going down that left, going down that right. It would have been a mess by the end of it. Probably got a red card. Maybe not this ref. But it is a frustrating one for Saka. All right. Who else have we got? Who else came on?
I think it's Justin Nketiah.
Oh, Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah, wasn't really on the pitch long enough to have much. He's like dropping deep, wasn't he, Nketiah?
Yeah.
When he was
on the left,
really dropping deep. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. He wasn't really on the pitch long enough to mark 5, maybe.
All right. Let's go to Mikel Arteta. What was your thoughts today?
It's hard because team selection wise, he hasn't got a lot of options. Like you saw the bench. Like I think there were 4 players on the bench that have never played before that would have been making their debut. So in that aspect, he didn't really have too many options. But like I said at the beginning of the show, you got to be beating these sorts of teams. Like you just have to if you've got any ambition to get in the top 4, you can't be drawing with 0-0 with Burnley at home, especially when they are where they are. They're not the not Burnley of old, but like a Burnley that are like midway up the table sort of thing. You know, they're rock bottom. So maybe a 6 for Arteta as well.
Right. 6 for Mikel Arteta. Before we go, what is your overriding thoughts on today's result and going forward for top 4 and Europe, most importantly?
Yeah. So it's obviously the overriding thought is that it's very frustrating, and I think that like the last few weeks, people have been asking the question: can Arsenal get top 4 if they don't make any further signings? And maybe you'd have got a 50-50 response. I think it's very clear that if they don't improve the squad in the next few days, top 4 ain't happening. No chance. And that's not me being a pessimistic fan. That's me sort of saying what I think will happen. I think it's quite clear that this squad needs strengthening. I think that, you know, if we would have won today, that'd have been you know, that in terms of points, that'd have really helped us out a lot. But dropping these 2 points and having, you know, the teams in and around us, now we're not only looking at teams above us, now we've got our eye sort of over our shoulders, seeing who's up and behind us. And now we've got Wolves that aren't too far away. So it's really frustrating. Again, you have to win, and it's hopefully if any positive can come of it, they'll realise that they need to get a move on and get some additions in. Otherwise, I think it's otherwise top 4 is no chance, and even top 6. To be honest, I think that is even sort of in doubt if they don't bring some people in the next few days.
You said earlier about I hope they don't panic buy and just getting someone for the sake of getting someone. Can you understand why they are sticking to the current targets in Vlahovic and Arthur Melo and not veering away from that because they don't want to start doing what you're doing and saying and bringing anyone just for the sake of it?
Yeah, I hope so. But you know, they might get desperate, and if they get desperate, it's a bit like with the centre forward. Just very, very quickly, it's like you got people talking about Ollie Watkins and Calvert-Lewin. For me, they're okay, but if you're going to spend 40-50 million on one of them, you might as well spend 100 on someone that you actually want, because for me, they're okay. They're good players, but I don't think they'll take this team much further than where they are at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear that. I don't mind Calvert-Lewin. I think he's a player that is still got a higher bar and can bring something to Arsenal. But I don't completely understand what you mean. If you're going for a Vlahovic, who's regarded as one of the best young up-and-coming prospects in Europe at the moment, it's quite a bit of a fall to then go for an Ollie Watkins. And that's nothing against Ollie Watkins. It's just we're talking about where we want to go and where we are now. All right. Thank you very much for joining us today, Jerome.
Pleasure. Cheers.
And thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Calesto, hit me up on the Twitter. Hit me up there, or on the Man United show, or on the Transfer Exchange show, and we'll get you on, mate. Thank you very much, Gar, for joining us today. Who else we got in there? Pablo, thank you very much for joining us. Riggs, thank you very much for joining us. Who else we got? I'm not even going to try and say this. It's written in Russian. All right. What else is he saying? Are there any other better options than Vlahovic and Arthur that are available? There are, but it's January. And I don't think those players that Arsenal would potentially be able to go for are available in January. So, yeah, I think that's the problem. I was always sceptical about Arsenal or anyone being able to bring in any proper quality in the January months, because clubs want to get into the same position that we are. We want to get into Europe. They want to get into the Champions League. They're pushing for the league. And it's very hard to bring in a player of that ilk that you want that's going to propel your team forward in this month. All right. But yeah, we'll see in the next coming. We got a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
we've got a week.
Yeah, week or so.
We've got a week left. All right. We will see how we do in the coming weeks. Plenty of things happening on the channel. Some big things happening to the channel, actually, with a couple of brands, Caught Offside being one of them. So keep an eye out for the Transfer Exchange show in association with Caught Offside. There's going to be some top guests, top journalists, and some exclusive transfer news from some of the best transfer gurus and specialists in the world. All right, so watch out for that. Thank you for your support, everyone. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Stay safe. Peace out, and wash your hands. I got that wrong.